Marquette women's basketball senior guard Jordan King announces her plans for next year.
In another exclusive interview, a 2-on-1 with the new NUSG president and executive vice president.
It's a new ticket, it's a new year. I think they're going to be a lot more open to just kind of sit down and hear what's going on.
The Indian Student Association prepares for their biggest night of the year.
It's just a great way for ISA to show our culture, our Indian culture, through dance and skits and songs.
And later, Rec Center construction starts up this week. How that's going to impact your travel on campus.
From the Jeannie Hayes Virtual Studio, this is Marquette Now.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us. I'm TJ Dysart.
And I'm Andrew Hubbock. Welcome to Marquette Now.
We start with breaking news out of Cobean Hall tonight. The residents without hot water.
And now the dining hall also closed due to the lack of hot water.
Kara McCoy joins us from outside the residence hall with the latest.
Kara, what have you been told by residents like facilities, management, and the residents themselves?
Andrew, TJ, I'm outside Cobean Hall, and residents have been without hot water since Friday morning. And tonight, Cobean's dining hall is closed since 4 p.m. According to Residence Hall Director Sophie Cheslisky, it is all due to a faulty circuit board. Cobean Hall has 2 water heaters. The one with the broken circuit board supplies the residence hall. The water heater for the dining hall has been redirected to the residence floors of the building, but does not have the capacity to effectively meet the demand of hot water. The new circuit board was ordered Monday, and it is expected to arrive tomorrow for the residents. It cannot come soon enough.
They waited for like 4 days before they even said anything.
Well, I'm going to the Commons to take a shower, and this has like all my shampoo and stuff. And then I have to take my towel and shower shoes as well.
Most people are just going somewhere else and dealing with it.
It was freezing, like our toes were turning blue.
Hot water is expected to return to residents just in time for those Friday morning showers. The dining hall, although closed until further notice, is also expected to open on Friday or Saturday morning at the latest. Back to you, Andrew and TJ.
Obviously a very frustrating situation for these students, but how many students has this been affecting? I believe we did do an article on this earlier, and it is 360 total residents. Kara, is that correct?
Yes, Cobean Hall holds over 360 plus residents, and as you can imagine, that's a lot of cold and frustrated individuals.
Kara, and can you tell us why facilities management didn't make the repair sooner?
Well, facilities management first needed to order that missing part for the circuit breaker, as well as be in contact with the mechanical contractor J.M. Brennan, and those parts are expected to be repaired on Thursday. I'm here at Cobean Hall, and that is all that I have for you guys right now.
Thanks so much, and we'll continue to update you on the latest of this situation. Dr. Xavier Cole, the Vice President of Student Affairs, will be leaving Marquette at the end of the spring semester upon being named President of Loyola University, New Orleans.
Cole will be Loyola's first African-American president. He's been at Marquette since 2016.
Rick Arcuri will serve as the acting Vice President of Student Affairs. In Cole's absence, he'll step into the role on May 1st.
Ayana Calvin joins us with the women's basketball stars' plans for next year. Hey, Ayana.
Thanks for having me. Women's basketball player Jordan King sits down with executive sports producer Kristen Parisi to reflect on her season and discuss her plans for next year. Here's what she had to say.
So I will be back next year. I kind of set myself up with the COVID year. Even last year I was able to graduate early. And so then I've started my master's program, which is 2 years. And I think that, the COVID year was kind of a blessing in disguise with my academics and kind of what I planned for my career and stuff like that. But I think also having this extra year is also just an amazing opportunity that the coaches have been able to give.
With one more season at Marquette, King is hoping to leave her mark.
Yeah, I think I really hope to just continue to build with this team. Like I said, we have so many great pieces coming back. And Rose, Liza, obviously we had great minutes out of Kenzie and Emily this year. So I just think that, we have so many great pieces that are coming coming back and being able to build on that is going to be the biggest thing. Just really excited to, like you said, have another year with Marquette and play under Coach Duffy and, just really, leave our mark again.
You can watch the full interview right here on Marquette University Television's YouTube channel.
Thanks for that, Ayana. We'll be back with more on sports later in our show.
The city of Milwaukee will be suing Kia and Hyundai over car theft-related damages.
Last year, there were 8,097 car thefts in the city, and 58% of those were either Kias or Hyundais.
Despite this, reports say that car thefts are down 30% year to date. We now go to Wire Executive Director Andrew Amuzu, who sat down with Marquette Student Government's new president and vice president.
Social justice, health and welfare, and sustainability, 3 topics at the top of the list for newly elected Student Government President Abby Moravec and Executive Vice President Tommy Tracy. After what's been a roller coaster year for MUSG, next year will prove to be a critical year for the organization. I sat down with Moravec and Tracy discussing their goals, the convocation demonstration last August, and how they want to be remembered a year from now. First, I want to congratulate you all for this awesome achievement. How do you guys feel? How are you feeling?
Very excited. I've been working for MUSG for the past 2 years, so to get up to this position, I know I've been working towards it for a really long time. To finally be in the position and be set, I'm very excited. So yeah.
Yeah. No, I know. I feel like we blinked and the election came and went. So I don't know. It was a very stressful, hectic time, but I feel like we made a lot of memories. We were able to do a lot of different things, start some new conversations. So yeah.
The MUSG 2023 debate. But for someone that's behind the podium, what is that like? We'll start with you.
I think it's scary. I'm very good talking to people outside of that situation, but when I was standing out there, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna brand, it's just gonna be so bad. But I was so it's nerve-wracking at first. You like to present yourself well. I was really nervous about what I was looking like on camera. I could see everybody was kind of looking at themselves on the TV. I think that's what everybody was looking at, and just choosing your words just to make sure that people understand what you're saying.
With everything that happened in August with the convocation demonstration, how do you guys try to encourage more student activism when some students might be I don't know, because the last time this happened, or when this happened, that happened,
Yeah. I think that it's really important still to spread that it's important to show student voices. Even though there was consequences shown, it's just being able to reach out to even administration and seeing when we would be able to do this, what is the right way to go about it. But I think it's just really important to emphasize the idea that student voices need to be heard, that we can help them emphasize their voices and get their messages out there.
Do you anticipate any pushback in those meetings, or do you think they're going to be all ears, or oh yeah?
Depends on the issue.
Yeah, I think it really depends. I think there's some that is going to be really hard to get through to them.
Which ones?
Contraceptives is definitely one. And I know a lot of senators have expressed support for, contraceptives or providing period products, things like that. So having that support is something I really value. There's also some members of the administration or faculty members that I've talked to that have commented about my platform, and they're ooh, some of these are lofty goals, but a lot of us faculty members even really like what you guys are talking about.
President Abby Moravec, Executive Vice President Tommy Tracy, congratulations once again, and we do look forward to seeing that progress and everything that you guys like to implement. So.
The university is mourning the death of former Executive Vice President Jerry Visgiani.
Visgiani is being remembered for his time as vice president from 1997 to 2002.
Prior to his time at Marquette, he served as the dean of the Albers School of Business and Economics and acting provost at Seattle University.
Visgiani returned to Seattle after his time in Milwaukee.
Exterior demolition to the Halfair Rec Center will begin on Monday, April 3rd. Expect traffic changes on 16th Street and 17th Street. Development is beginning on the new wellness and recreation facility, and barriers and fencing are in the process of going up around the site. The university advises those nearby to be aware of increased noise in the area.
Children's Wisconsin cancels their 2023 Briggs and Owls Run and Walk. The event takes a one-year break after being held for 45 years. The event has raised nearly $22 million in its history. They're canceling this year's event in order to make the event more inclusive in the future. Children's Wisconsin has plans to bring back the event in 2024.
Members of the Bayanihan student organization shine in the spotlight at their cultural show. And it's more than just a performance for the dancers, it's a celebration of their Filipinx heritage.
It's important to showcase our culture to people that don't really know about us. Filipinos are like such a small community in the Midwest, so it's very important to like kind of highlight that and just have a community.
You can join the BSO crew on Friday at 3 p.m. for Boba at Serenitia at games at the Mashuda Hall Ballroom at 4 p.m.
While Bayanihan Student Organization just had their cultural show on Saturday, Indian Student Association will be keeping up with the excitement with their performance this Friday. Marquette Now's Izzy Fonfera Drool shows us the steps.
Every Thursday, Indian Student Association files into the Humphrey practice space. For 2 straight hours, the group rehearses their dance moves. Their dedication and skill is pushed by their choreographer, a fellow student, classmate, and friend.
I've been dancing for a majority of my life, and so it just quite comes naturally to me. Honestly, if I can't figure out a dance move, I will like play the same part on loop until I figure something out. Mainly, I just listen to the same segment on loop until I can figure out a step. Over left. Let's all do that real quick, okay?
The group is preparing for their annual show, Om Shanti Om. The event includes skits, a fashion show, and several dancing segments.
I just want this show to be as successful as possible. I want all the participants to have fun. I want them to feel like all this hard work was like for a reason and it just didn't go to waste. I want the audience members to have a great time.
As the show draws closer, nerves and excitement are brewing.
It's been getting stressful now that it's almost showtime next week, but practices are always fun. I feel like everyone's always looking forward to it as like a stress reliever, so it's always a fun time.
The months of preparation have culminated in stronger bonds and flashy dance moves. I'm Izzy Fonfera Drool, Marquette Wire News.
We'll talk about having dancing feet. You can catch ISA at Om Shanti Om on March 31st in Weasler Auditorium at 6:30 p.m. And now from one organization to another, the African Student Association returns to campus after a hiatus. The organization is back this year with the help and support from the university.
So we're hoping that with with our continued efforts that we'll get more help and support. But as of right now, just the fact that we've been able to get ASA up and running and we're recognized as an organization on campus and are allowed to use things like the AMU tables and stuff like that, that all helps to provide intrigue for our organization.
The ASA hopes to raise understanding of the multiple cultures across the African continent to students. ASA is hoping to have more events planned this semester despite a slower start this school year.
Community is key. I think that knowing that where you come from is really important, can really set you up for future hopes and aspirations to keep yourself in and know your roots. Because I think that if you stray too far away from your roots, really just forget what you got going on. But keeping in touch with those, it really can get you far. So.
The Marquette University Student Government has a night to remember at their annual reception. The night's all about a celebration of campus leadership and members' achievements.
Celebrate each other. We're going to give some speeches for Senator of the Year, Leadership Award, Spirit Award, and Emerging Leader. And we're just here to have a great time with each other, reminisce about the year, and celebrate our graduating seniors, of course.
You can email Lori Martinez at her Marquette email address if you want to be a senator or legislator for MUSG.
March is Women's History Month, and the Marquette Melodies are making history as the first and only all-female a cappella group on campus.
The group is planning to wrap up the month. They are set to release their first album at the end of Women's History Month, March 31st. Marquette's Caroline Malloy sets the tune.
At Marquette Hall, you are most likely to hear the droll of professors teaching rooms full of fidgety underclassmen.
It's kind of empowering just that we're all women and all doing it together. I think is really cool and it's unique.
But if you are lucky, you may just hear the sounds of Marquette's very own Melodies, the first and only all-women a cappella group at Marquette.
Being in an all-women group is a obviously for music, we're higher voiced, so it's different in that way, but I think also just like the community is really different just because we are all girls.
Visual director Madison Carroll believes that their remarkability lies not only within their biology, but chemistry as well.
Something that our group is known for and that judges and competitions have commented on, and it's pointed out to us really often, is that you can just tell that everyone in our group genuinely cares about everyone else. And so when we go out on that stage, you can just tell that we're all there to support each other and do our best, not just for ourselves, but for every other girl in the group. And it's not something that other groups have, and it's really unique to the Melodies, and that's what I love being in the group for.
While the chemistry comes in part from a shared passion for music,
It's 1, 2, 3, da.
It also comes from a place of unity in facing hardships.
Those are all on ones.
I'm Caroline Malloy, Marquette Wire News.
Well, the Melodies are going to be singing in the rain soon. We'll get to that in a little bit. Hi, I'm Timothy Lateau. Let's take a look outside at your current weather. Right now it is partly cloudy, 33 degrees, 7-mile-per-hour winds in the northwest. So slower winds today, walking to class this morning. The winds are pretty high, but we'll be back with more weather, and like I said, a little bit of precipitation on the way. So don't go anywhere, Marquette. We'll be right back with the rest of your weather forecast after this.
So I just moved in with this family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
Welcome back to Marquette Now. I'm Timothy Lateau, here to take a closer look at your weather. Tonight, conditions are partly cloudy, and it's going to be a low of 23 degrees, pretty humid outside, 61%, winds out of the west at 5 miles per hour. Then moving on to the state overnight lows, Superior at 0 degrees, Minocqua 4 degrees, and Green Bay 18 degrees, 23 degrees here in Milwaukee. And then tomorrow's highs, 34 degrees up in Superior, 39 degrees in Minocqua, and 42 degrees here in Milwaukee. And tomorrow we're going to see some rain, 42 degrees, 56% chance of humidity, and precipitation out of the southeast at 13 miles per hour. And looking at the 5-day forecast here, Friday, more rain on the way, 59 degrees, a low of 34 degrees. Saturday, more rain and even some snow, 42 degrees is the high, 30 degrees is the low. Sunday and Monday, that sun is going to be poking through, 51 and 53 degrees. And then on Tuesday, we're going to see some more rain as well, 53 degrees. So rain is on the way. It's going to be in the 50s, though. What do you guys think about that?
Well, I mean, with spring comes warm weather and rain, I guess, but
yeah, I'll take the warm weather, but let's just hope it's not raining men as we wrap up Women's History Month here. So, in honor of Women's History Month, Delta Xi Phi Multicultural Sorority Incorporated is hosting a feminine hygiene drive. Donation boxes can be found in the Center for Engagement and Inclusion or the information desk on the second floor of the Alumni Memorial Union. All items will be donated to a local women's shelter. Tomorrow is the last day to donate. Ramadan is underway and students are celebrating in a number of ways. Iftar and a prayer service is being offered on Friday the 31st in the AMU. Halal food is also now being offered in the campus dining halls after not being served since 2020.
Marquette Wire's Journal has expanded with a new digital literary magazine. Imprint Lit Mag is currently open for submissions, and it's accepting works of poetry, flash fiction, general short fiction, creative nonfiction, photography, and other art mediums. You can submit using the code on the screen or on the form on the Journal Instagram page at MU Journal. Now, Andrew, this next package, it's pretty crazy. Have you ever done log rolling?
I have not. Maybe we'll find out more another time, but don't go anywhere because Iona Calvin will be back with sports right after this.
Sometimes the things we do or say can make others feel hurt, excluded, or isolated. Everything you say and do creates an impact.
How am I supposed to save the whole world?
You can't think about saving the world. You have to think about saving one person.
Because of you, someone's entire life can change. You don't have to be a superhero to have a positive impact.
Friends?
Friends.
Welcome back. I'm Ayana Kelvin with your Marquette Now sports report. 3 Marquette men's basketball players officially enter the transfer portal. According to verbal commits on Twitter, sophomore forward Keon Etijere, sophomore guard Amarian Ellis, and senior forward Zach Ritzel intend to transfer. Ritzel can apply for a medical waiver after only playing in 3 games due to a knee injury. Ritzel spent 1 season at Marquette after 4 years at Loyola New Orleans. Etijere and Ellis both leave Marquette after 2 seasons. Ellis missed all of this season after recovering from patella surgery. Etijere redshirted his first year and saw limited playing time this past season. The women's basketball team also has a player leaving its program. Sophomore forward Micaiah Williams announces on social media that she will be entering the transfer portal after 2 seasons at Marquette. Williams did not see much playing time in her 2 seasons on the team due to depth. The men's lacrosse team is riding off the momentum of their win over Penn State. They cruise into Valley Fields to take on St. Bonaventure. It took until the very end, but the Golden Eagles take control of the first quarter after 4 quick goals. Marquette dominates the first half, up 6-1. Despite the lopsided score, the Bonnies fight to score 2 goals before the end of the third. But ultimately, the lead is too much and Marquette runs away with the victory, winning 9-5. And after an incredible performance, Bobby O'Grady finds himself in the weekly Big East honor roll. The sophomore attacker puts up 4 goals and now has a team-high 23 goals this season. The women's lacrosse team seems to have a pretty personal vendetta against the Michigan teams. After defeating Eastern Michigan this past Friday, the Golden Eagles are determined to clean house in the state, taking on Central Michigan. The Chippewas take an early 2-1 lead in the first quarter, but it is not enough as the Golden Eagles run the score up and take the lead 5-3. Continuing with their momentum, the Eagles stretch the lead to 12-4 in the third quarter. Central Michigan begins to make a run, scoring the first 2 goals in the fourth quarter, but Marquette quickly halts the run with a timeout. Fresh out of the pep talk, the Golden Eagles go on to score 2 more goals, ending the game 17-9. And following the big undefeated week, 2 Golden Eagles land some Big East honors. Senior attacker Mary Schumar is credited with Big East Attacker of the Week with 11 points, which include 2 goals and 9 assists. Schumar currently leads the nation in assists with 40 and assists per game with an average of 4. And after 6 total goals last week's senior midfielder Emma Sacadato earns Big East Midfielder of the Week. Coming up this week in athletics, the men's lacrosse team hopes to keep the momentum going when they travel to Providence to take on the Friars this Saturday at 11 a.m. The women's lacrosse team will look to continue its historic season as they travel to the nation's capital and take on Georgetown this Saturday at 2 p.m. That's it for sports, but don't go anywhere now. Marquette Now will be right back with our Down to the Wire segment.
Patriotism. It inspires passionate debate. It's worn like a badge of honor with good reason, because it means love and devotion for one's country. But what really makes up this country of ours? It's the people. To love America is to love all Americans. This year, patriotism shouldn't just be about pride of country. It should be about love. Love beyond age, sexuality, disability, race, religion, and other labels. Because love has no labels.
Good evening and welcome back. I'm TJ Dysart.
And I'm Andrew Hubbock.
Marquette Wire executive news editor Julia Buzahab joins us again for tonight's edition of Down to the Wire.
She's with Nancy Flaherty to talk about the upcoming Wisconsin Supreme Court elections on April 4th.
Thank you so much, Andrew and TJ. Thank you to Nancy for joining me once again on Down to the Wire. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing wonderful, Julia. It's always a pleasure to talk about politics and elections with you.
Yeah, I love it. So like they said, there's an important Wisconsin election coming up next week. Why is this election so important, and who are the candidates running, and what are their platforms?
Great question. So I've heard everyone's been talking about the April 4th election that's coming up. Now, the 2 main candidates now, something important to note is that this is the Wisconsin Supreme Court election. Candidates are technically nonpartisan. However, they basically run kind of adhering either to conservative or liberal. Now, we have 2 candidates in this April 4th election that's going to determine whether the court is going to be a conservative or a liberal majority. On the liberal side, we have Janet Protasiewicz, who is currently a Milwaukee County Circuit Judge, And then on the other conservative side is Daniel Kelly, who is a former Supreme Court Justice for Wisconsin. So those are those two candidates that you're going to see on those April 4th ballots.
Yeah, and so why should Marquette students care about this election?
There's been a lot of national attention on this election, and that's because some of the lawsuits that they're basically going to be coming to the Wisconsin Supreme Court after this April 4th election are going to be very contentious. After the overturning of the Roe v. Wade decision by the U.S. Supreme Court, Governor Evers actually challenged an abortion ban that immediately went in place called the 1849 law. Now that abortion ban was challenged by Governor Evers, creating a lawsuit. Now that lawsuit's going to come to the Wisconsin Supreme Court. Now abortion is a very contentious issue here in Wisconsin. And so determining which one of those candidates are going to align with your beliefs. Now, they don't necessarily run in political circles, but their judgments on lawsuits in past cases are going to determine whether they might vote in the future. That's going to be right off the bat. Also, there's going to be some challenges to the legislative mapping of Wisconsin that's going to be a problem. And then also some criminal cases as well that are going to come to the attention of these Wisconsin Supreme Court justices.
Yeah, and so on the ballot, there's going to be a handful of different referendums. Can you talk to us a little bit about what these are and why people should care about them?
They're pretty complicated, Julia. All right, there's 4 of them. The first 2 are statewide binding referendums, and then the other 2 are advisory referendums. Now, the first 2 are going to matter a lot because determining on how we vote yes or no on them is going to immediately go into effect and change those constitutional amendments on Wisconsin's constitution. The other 2 are more polling and kind of asking the public what they kind of agree on. So the first 2 are actually going to be about cash bails. So when a court is determining whether to put someone who's been accused of a crime on cash bail, there are some wording in the amendment. So the first referendum is going to be asking whether they commit serious bodily harm or whether they'd be at risk at causing that. And the amendment wants to change to serious harm. And so what you're gonna see with these first 2 ones about cash bails, if you're voting yes, it's stricter measures on cash bail for both of them. Now the second one is not about serious bodily harm, but actually asking court justices to consider all factors, such as whether a defendant is going to show up to court, other factors that may kind of attribute to whether they should go on cash bail or not. That's going to be that second referendum. The last 2 are about whether a person, if they do not have any disabilities and are a childless adult, whether they should basically be allowed to be on unemployment or if they need to have kind of be actively seeking work in order to get any kind of welfare. That one's going to be more advisory. I encourage all of our viewers to kind of look at the wording more specifically. It's kind of hard to explain, but there are several articles by local journalists that kind of really go into detail at it. And then lastly, the other one is going to be asking about the abortion ban in Wisconsin and whether Wisconsinites think that it should be repealed and what they really want for the future of abortion access in Wisconsin. So we got those 4 referendums to kind of keep your eye on, and then we have some more local elections, but more specifically those Wisconsin Supreme Court justices. That's going to be the big ticket there and what to keep your eye on.
Yeah, and how can students get involved in this election?
There's a lot of different ways to do it. Now, there are several organizations on campus that are kind of helping with voting access. I encourage all of our students at Marquette to kind of look into being a poll worker, and they can kind of actively help with the polls. They can help people register to vote, and I would direct them to looking at, now the Marquette has a website that specifically gives voting resources. They can go ahead and just kind of type in Marquette University voting resources and be directed to a host of issues. So I encourage them to volunteer in that way and just go out and vote.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for coming on the show with me tonight. I really appreciate it. And I will throw it back to Andrew and TJ in the studio.
Nancy, Julia, thank you. That's our report for the night. Thanks for joining us. I'm TJ Dysart.
And I'm Andrew Hubbock. Remember to check MarquetteWire.org for all the latest campus news. We're off next week, but we'll be back on April 12th. Have a good night and break, Marquette.